Thank you for tuning in to the Okinawa Karate Podcast. I am Josh Simmers, coming to you from the birthplace of karate, Okinawa, Japan. I find myself back here again at Reisner Gym on Canadian Air Base with Andy Sloane Sensei. Last time we brought you the 15 upper body basics, and at this time Andy Sensei is going to show us the 15 lower body basics. And I think there was something important you told me before we were recording. The upper body were based off of perhaps the 10 basics taken from Shotokan.
Right.
But that is not the case with the lower body.
Right. The lower body stuff seemed to have been just created specifically for the style with no real external influence, perhaps, you know.
Okay.
Again, Eiko Kaneshi was the one that we kind of credit for creating the basics.
Lower body as well as
upper and lower body charts, and
yeah.
then Tatsuo, of course, put his stamp of approval on it.
Okay. Okay, very good. So we're going to go through the 15 lower body, and I've done this at least 2 different occasions, I think, with you now at seminars. Some of the lower body is actually what you'll see is stretching, but it is what Andy Sensei has researched and found out that what they've done in the dojo back when Tatsuo Sensei was still alive and teaching, and it's what many of the students have carried on. Some have altered, some have not. He'll discuss that during the video, and we'll go through them, and then people can take what they want and hopefully like it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So the lower body basics chart was referred to collectively as Ashi no Bu. Ashi is leg or foot, and no is a possessive, and then Bu means the part. So just like the upper body with Te no Bu, it's the hand part. Lower body, or kicking techniques and so on, are the leg part. There were originally 14 of the lower body basics, and in the late 60s they say that the back kick or reverse kick was added to the sequence, and some people said, no, that was not a thing that everybody did, that some of the teachers in the States did that. So you'll see a variety of numbers on the lower body basics. I've also seen a trend in the States where people have separated out the first 3 techniques and the last 3 techniques and only do the kicks, and so they refer to the upper body having 15 basics and the lower body having like 9 or 10 basics, you know. But originally, Tatsuo Sensei would do 14, and then some people do 15 and add that extra back kick. But it's interesting if you'll notice that there are no Okinawan kata, to my knowledge, that have a back kick in it. So it's not a real traditional kick per se, but it is a decent kick to have regardless. And so I think most styles do it anymore, even if it's not officially part of the lower body basics that Tatsuo originally had. So the first 3 basics are stretching exercises, limbering techniques to get you ready for the kicking techniques. And I personally think that it's a good thing to do those instead of separating them out, because it prepares you for the rigors of the kicking techniques. And who wouldn't want to be warmed up for those? The first exercise is a 2-part exercise. It's going to be a toe touch stretch and a back bend. And some people do this as a number 1, where there's just the toe touch stretch, and then they do number 2 as the back bend. And so that's why in some schools the whole chart will reach out to number 15, because they've separated this one out into number 1 and number 2. But really it's a 2-part exercise, and it's only one count. You know, exercise number 1, and then number 2 is a different stretch entirely. But at any rate, so the first one is the toe touch stretch. You're bending forward and touching your toes, right? And then the second part is you step to the side, pushing the small of your back, and bend backwards. And of course you breathe. I'll turn to the side so you can see. So going down, touching the toes, and bend it backwards. Right. Okay. Number 2 is the standing leg stretch. This one takes a good deal of balance to do. So it works your flexibility and your balance. So you're going to pick up the leg that you want stretched, you put the same side hand on that knee, and you can grab over the top, you can grab your ball of your foot, you can grab your heel, whatever you feel you need to do. And then you're going to extend this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and hold, and kind of press down on that leg, on that knee, right? And for the sake of time, I won't do the other side, but of course you would do the other side. Standing leg stretch. Number 3 is a squatting leg stretch. And most people seem to do this, including Tatsuo Sensei, because we have him on video doing this, where you just squat in place and stick the leg out that's to be stretched. Well, I think it's easier if you leave the leg that you want stretched in place, and then you move the other leg out to the side like so. Okay? And your supporting leg is flat, knee on the outside of your shoulder. Your leg that's being stretched is your heel down and your toes to the sky. And the foot flex backwards and the toes pull back so that everything is tight, and you let this relax in this position. And of course, you can counterbalance yourself by leaning forward. If you try to sit up, you're going to fall backwards on your bottom. And then you do the same thing to the other side, rock over to the other side. I think it's harder to just squat in place and stick the leg out. I think you'll lose your balance too easy. So this is the way I do it. And I rock from one side to the other, right? When I stay down, however long I want to stay down for. Okay, so those are the first 3 limbering exercises. And then we get into the kicking techniques. Number 4, oh, by the way, so the kicking techniques, Isshin-Ryu Sensei allowed the students to either have the hands on the hips or the hands down by the side. Personally, I like to teach them with the hands on the guard, but you can do it any of those ways. So I'm going to turn to the side. This is your standard front kick. The kicking techniques are primarily done with the back leg. So your hands on the guard. Number 4 is your front kick. Kicking with the ball of your foot. Chamber, push that out, pull this back in, and set it back down. From the front. Right. Don't kick straight out, but bring it into the center line. Kick and then back down. Okay? Front kick. Next one, number 5, is your angled kick. This one is going to be with the knife edge of the heel, and you're going to pick your knee up and bring it down as if you're stomping, and then bringing it back and setting it down. Up and then down like so. And then you change to the other side. Right? I know some people do this in Isshin-Ryu lineages. They'll do like a snapping technique, and it's okay, but really the knee is a substantial joint, so you got to have some real zap to the technique to really do damage to the knee joint. So that stomping motion is actually the better way to do it. And if you actually look at the Japanese terminology that Isshin-Ryu Sensei had in the dojo, it's a Ashi fumigeri, or stomping kick, the leg stomping kick, instead of a snap. Okay, the next one is the cross kick, urageri. This is an old terminology that Isshin-Ryu Sensei used. Urageri, you're going to kick across. So the knee comes up high and drives down, and your foot is still in a wedge position like you would do for this other one we just did, but you're going across now to the knee or to the shin, or if you have the opponent down to the ground, an actual stomp to the rib cage or head or something. Okay, and then we move to the side kicks. So this one is the yoko fumigeri, side. It's more like a thrusting or pushing type kick. That's why some of the Americans in the early days called it a side push kick, right? So it's out to the side. But it's okay if you want to do a snap. Just use the edge of the heel instead of the full blade of the foot to do that. Because if you use the blade of the foot, it dissipates the shock that you're trying to deliver into the opponent. So, but it's not so much like a taekwondo side thrust kick or karate side thrust kick where you turn your supporting foot to the target. Keep your supporting foot forward facing and kick out to the side. And then we have a side kick with the ball of the foot, which is just basically a front kick to the side. So you shift like into a T stance or cat stance temporarily. Some people call it a cat stance. You pick your knee up and then you deliver your side kick with the ball of the foot. Right? Okay. So that's 1 through 8. Number 9 is going to be the squat kick. So you're going to step off to the side. Some people kind of come off to the 45. That's acceptable as well. So we're coming this way. The arms come across. So if you started your technique with your hands by your side, when you step across, the arms come over. This is a front kick on a 45-degree angle. Right? And back to a ready stance or heikodachi. Same thing other side. So you're not, when you come across, you're not letting your foot go with you so that you're kicking where you're going. You're kicking where you used to be. This is if an opponent is lunging at you to grab you. You're moving offline and kicking forward. Okay? The next one. Many Americans learn this or were allowed to do this as a heel push kick. And Isshin-Ryu Sensei, according to some, taught this as a toe ripping kick. So your middle toe is on top of your big toe, and you're raking or ripping downwards. So if the opponent has grasped you in a double lapel grab, for instance, you come in between their arms, separate them out. This is to collapse their hold and bring them closer to you. And this comes up, and your foot is going to be pushed forward with the middle toe and the big toe, and you're pushing downwards into the groin area. right in there like so. But many Americans had it modified to a heel thrust kick, which that's okay too. But you still need to get your knee up high so that you can get your heel into their lower abdomen or, belt level area. But originally that was done with the toe ripping kick going downwards. Okay? And actually, as a matter of fact, if I could get you to come out and I'll demonstrate that one with you. I won't actually rape your groin, but I'll give it the basic idea.
Do it now.
Yeah, so a double lapel, thank you. The opponent grabs. Now you're coming in here at the elbows and spreading this, and then you can re-grab them to hold them even closer. And this comes up and places it right in the groin, and you're pushing down this.
Thank you.
So, you can see how that would, that your day would be ruined by that. Okay, so that was number 10. Number 11 is going to be the knee smash kick. So this was typically done with one hand extended. I'll turn this way so you can see. And you're going to drive your knee up into the palm of the hand. I'm not trying to pick your knee up high. Just like groin level, driving into the palm of the hand. Or if you wanted to do it in the guard, simulate grabbing, same thing. Right, pulling in, striking with the tip of the knee. Okay? And then, of course, the next one would be the back kick, if you chose to put that in there. That would be the last one that was added. Uezu Sensei, Shimabuku Sensei's son-in-law, he added that one as well for his chart of basics. That's fine if you want to do the back kick. But that's typically the last of the kicks, because it was added last, I assume. That's why it's in that order. And then the last three basics. So if you go strictly with what's on the original chart in Shimabuku Sensei's dojo, 14, there was only 14 basics. So number 11 was the knee kick, and that was the last one. Then you had 12, 13, and 14, which were more exercises and cool down techniques. So I'll turn to the side. Push-ups on your knuckles was the next one. So I like to do these instead of trying to put my knees down and reach out and then put my hands and stuff. I think it's a little bit easier to hit these lower knuckles when you do that. But if you just squat where you're standing and place your hands down in the correct position beside you with those knuckles touching the floor, and then you kick your legs to the rear, then you can do your push-ups on your knuckles like so. Do however many you feel is necessary. Okay, number 14, or 13, depending on how you're counting them, is the body twist. So you would start with your arms to one side or the other, swing them across. Then when you swing your arms back to the opposite side, you swing the opposite leg across. So you have the counter motion. So if it's going 1, 2, 3, swing the leg. 1, 2, 3, swing the leg across. So this is not a kick, it's more just an exercise to help loosen your lower back. You can get a good stretch in that middle and lower back by doing that, more so than just standing stationary and doing this kind of a twist like a lot of people will do. Both are good exercises, of course. And then the last one is the deep breathing exercise. So it's similar to the first exercise where it's a two-part motion. This also has a two-part motion. But the goal in this one is to just step apart, not bend so far back. You're just trying to get yourself balanced so that you can expand your lungs, fill your lungs with air. And then when you exhale, you're going to bend forward. And instead of only concentrating on stretching the legs, as in the first exercise, you're exhaling and kind of pushing the air out. You can swing your arms forward, you can swing your arms to the sides, however you like. So, and of course you have to be careful not to get lightheaded from the up and down motion. So, and that's the lower body basics right there. Ashi no bu.
Okay, so Andy Sensei showed us the 15 lower body basics without a partner. Some of those are stretches, you could see, and then of course push-ups on the knuckles. Now, because there's some kicks involved there, we would like to demonstrate that with a partner, with a nuke, with the dummy as he called me last time. That's me.
All right, so like I said, you're not so allowed to have your hands on the hips or hands off to the side when you're doing your kicking techniques. I think it's better to train yourself to do it like so. But I show all the ways as best I know how that Shimabuku Sensei did it. And of course I tell what I believe as well, and the students can hopefully absorb it all and retain it all. So anyway, basic front kick, we're doing now, right?
Sure, sure. Which number was this in the 15 basics?
Number 4.
Number
This
4.
is your front kick, basic
Okay.
front kick. And of course, it's always a target of opportunity. You know, Isshin-Ryu Sensei taught to kick to the groin and punch to the solar plexus, because those are the main 2 targets. You know, but if you need to kick to the knee, by all means, kick to the knee. You know, kick to the back leg, thigh, or whatever the case is, kick into the groin, right?
Okay, when you do a front kick in Isshin-Ryu, it's still the ball of the foot.
Ball of the foot. Now, kicks are primarily done with the back leg. If you kick with the front leg, which is still a viable thing, but when you shift your weight to the rear, you're potentially off balance. And if the guy is rushing you, you're more susceptible to being grabbed or pushed even further off balance. So it's probably better to kick with the back leg so that you can retain your balance. Probably better for self-defense, but again, that's up to the individual.
Okay.
Number 5 is that angle kick. So if I'm over this way, say you have that leg forward, for instance, put your right side forward, or no, stand facing this way. Yeah, a little like this, maybe. Yeah, so this one comes up and it's a stomp down to the knee, right? So it's here, I'm driving down to it. I know a lot of people do a snapping deal, but again, the knee is a real solid joint. And depending on their positioning and timing of it all, you may or may not be able to really make that knee collapse.
Okay.
So, I don't know, several people are advocates of really getting a good thrust on that technique to get the knee to buckle. Okay, and then the next one would be this way, the cross kick. Same concept. You have to be getting a good push down on that knee. So the knee comes up high. If you're just trying to kick across like this, you're not really going to have any oomph behind it. So you have to get the knee high and drive down on the knee. I'm kind of reluctant to actually do it there, of course. But you're driving down like so.
We'll just show that on this side if you don't mind.
Sure.
Angle.
So if you're here, you're driving down on the knee, right? And depending on what you're actually trying to do to the opponent, you don't necessarily have to destroy their knee joint. You can do it as a push, you know, just to drive them down and then follow up with whatever you like. I mean, there's any number of things you can do. But the basic deal is to rush downwards and to collapse that knee joint. Okay? Then you move into the side kicks. So if the opponent's rushing from the side, you're kicking with the heel, right? Try not to turn like I just did a little bit, got a little too overzealous. But you're trying to stand your ground and put that kick into the ribs with the heel. Okay? And then the next one will be your side kick with the ball of the foot. So you turn to the side, and it's like a front kick to the side. Groin, solar plexus, whatever's good, sorry. Okay, then the next one is your squat kick. So this one, if the opponent tries to grab you, you're moving offline here. And you're moving your arms as well to help get your body more fully out of the way. It also could be used to entangle their arms and move the arm out of the way, or if I happen to grab both of them, my timing wasn't perfect on that one, you get both arms at the same time, which opens him up for the kick. Sorry. Okay. You're kicking in here, right? But it's a front kick on a 45. It doesn't come around level to the ground like a roundhouse kick does, but it's a front kick on a 45.
Okay.
Another reason for the hands coming across, say for instance he's doing that grab again, and here both my arms are fully out of the way. Well, now if he wants to attack me, say if he wants to go with that back hand or grab, I've got this other hand here to help defend against that. And then I can shift and punch him or whatever I want to do. So this is used as a defense as well. Okay, the next one is the toe rip kick. Again, so if they get to double lapel, you're coming in here, breaking that hold, and then coming up and putting the middle toe on the big toe, or raking down and pushing. Or, if you so desire, use the heel and push them away. Some people don't even worry about letting the opponent grab, and they just do it as a heel kick, you know. That's a viable technique as well. But you still got to get your knee high to be able to kick them high.
Okay.
All right, and then the next one was the knee smash kick. Right. So again, this is to simulate smashing here. So if you've got the guy grabbing you, you grab him or come in here, same concept, and then pull in, knee to the groin. Or if you're off to the side of the guy, right, you can knee him in the side of the leg. Or if he's turned all the way around, knee to the tailbone. This guy's the left, right?
Yep. Okay.
And then of course, the people that do a back kick, that's a great kick to do as well. And everybody kind of knows what happens on that. Somebody is coming at you from behind, and kick to the groin or to the chest or knees, whatever. Pretty self-explanatory.
Excellent.
And then Shimabuka had the push-ups on the knuckles for strengthening, which is odd that it would be in the lower body designated chart, but hey, I didn't make it. I didn't make the chart. And then of course your body twist to help kind of cool down and stretch those muscles out that you've been using. And then the deep breathing exercise at the very, very end.
Okay.
And that's it.
So there you have it, the 15 lower body basics in Isshin-Ryu, demonstrated by Andy Sloane Sensei.
So we're going to cover the basic stance of the style, the primary stance used. Shimabuku Sensei called it Seisan Dachi, or Seisan stance, because it's the primary stance used in Seisan kata, which is our first traditional kata. And ultimately throughout the style it's used. So you can start from shoulder width apart and you can step forward or backwards either way. So basically there are 5 main parts to the Seisan stance, and you can do these in any order so long as they're all contained in there. So shoulder width apart. Now to me, what that means is, especially since I'm tall, you want the insides of the feet to line up with the outsides of the shoulders. If you start trying to do the outsides of the feet with the outsides of the shoulders, then you run the risk of not having any real balance because you're too narrow. And then of course on the opposite end, you don't want to be too wide, because then that creates too much mobility and stability, stability, not mobility. And it's easier to hold your ground, but not as easy to move around. Okay, so shoulder width apart. The next bit is we want to be heel to toe. We have an alignment that's heel to toe, and I'm going to turn so that you can see on the boards here, we have these lines, which is nice for this demonstration. So you want the heel of the front foot to line up straight across with the toes of the back foot. All right? Then you want your knees to be slightly bent, of course. If nobody walks around stiff-legged, it's not very conducive to movement when your knees are locked. So you bend your knees slightly. The next thing is you want to be slight pigeon-toed. So Shimabuku Sensei allowed the students to do their feet parallel, and that's acceptable. But ideally, and ultimately what he really taught, was you kick your heels out a little bit. So when you do that, that allows you to hold the ground better. It engages the muscles on the insides of the feet more, and you can kind of suction cup yourself to the ground with your toes, flatten your toes out, and then you can feel it on your own body that your inner thighs are tense too. That allows you to hold yourself to the ground so that you can do the hip rotation to get the power and the punching that we have. Okay? So your knees are bent. Your body weight is evenly balanced as well. You're not leaning forwards or backwards or sideways or anything like that. So knees bent, weight evenly balanced, heel toe, shoulder width apart, and then of course most people refer to it as being heel to toe, but it's actually slightly pigeon-toed. And my sensei says that if you allow the student to only do from the start parallel, when they relax, their feet have a tendency perhaps to kind of cant outwards. Whereas if you teach them to do slightly pigeon-toed and they relax and they turn straight, that's still acceptable. So many people teach it as heel to toe and parallel, but it's really kind of slightly pigeon-toed.
If anyone is interested in training with Andy Sensei, if you happen to be here on Okinawa, you can reach out to him on Facebook directly, and he teaches in this room, right, on Kadena Air Base. Contact him directly if you're interested. If you have any questions, more comments about Isshin-Ryu, or anything you want to know about history, talk to him, because he's an encyclopedia and he's constantly still doing research about the style. As always, if you have any questions or comments for me, send them to me in email, leave them on Facebook, leave them on Instagram, leave them in YouTube, somewhere out there, and get them back to me, please. I love the comments, feedback, ideas, questions, comments, concerns. It's time for lunch.
It is.
Or at least a cold drink or something like that.
Absolutely.
As always, Andy Sensei, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Once again, thank you for tuning into the Okinawa Karate Podcast. I am Josh Simmers, coming from the birthplace of karate, Okinawa, Japan.